Okay, welcome to the first Yoga in the Park 2022. We'll start out on our backs. My name is Micki, just in case you didn't know. And this is Christian playing some live music for us as well. So you can come to lying on your back. You might come into constructive rest pose. So walk your feet as wide as the mat. Allow your knees to tent together. You might flip your palms so they're face up. And just take a moment to allow yourself to settle in. So often we check and see what is my battery life on my cell phone, and we might just use that same idea for our bodies and our minds. What is our personal battery at? And can you allow yourself this moment to plug yourself into the earth? Allow yourself to feel nourished and supported. Just feel possibly the cool breeze or the air around your skin. And then give yourself a big thank you for showing up for your practice this morning, for taking this time to nourish your body. And then imagine for a moment that you have an intention for your practice, and you could have any intention. I do have a suggestion if you need one. And the suggestion is the very first niyama, and these are yoga's ethical practices. So this very first one is called Saucha, and it means purity. So I have a short reading from the book by Deborah Adele. She says, the jewel of Saucha, or purity, invites us to purify our bodies, our thoughts, and our words. As we purify ourselves physically and mentally, we become less cluttered and heavy. Purification brings about a brightness and a clarity to our essence. Whatever form purification takes, it always begins with the intention to lighten the load we are carrying. Loads that might be weighing down our body, mind, and spirit. The guideline of purity invites us to move into ease, to do what it takes to get rid of heaviness wherever we find it in our life. In any way that we hold on to past wounds, we injure ourselves and keep ourselves from the ability to be pure with what is current in our lives. Forgiveness of self and other is the most generous gift we can give ourselves. From here, let's go ahead and invite a little bit of movement into the body. So you can walk your feet as wide as your yoga mat, and then start to windshield wiper your knees a little bit side to side. You might turn your gaze in the opposite direction as your knees, finding a gentle twist in your spine, moving at the pace of your own breath. You could always pause on one side for a breath. And then move back to the other side. In this class, I would like to invite you, since you are your own best teacher, to modify anything to meet your own needs. When you're ready, we'll come back to center and you can hug your knees in towards your chest and either rock and roll up and down the length of your spine to come up to a seat, or you can roll over to one side and press yourself up to a seat. So from here, we're going to play around a little bit with some balance. So you can start to lift your torso and maybe you reach your arms out in front. And then maybe you want to start to just lean back to find a little bit of engagement in your core. You could sweep your hands to the back of your thighs and lift one leg or both legs. And just explore Navasana, boat pose. You might even extend your arms, just finding a little bit of strength and heat in your core. And then set your feet up or down on the ground. We'll press the palms forward and you can slide them back underneath your shoulders. Walk your heels in, and then maybe you want to lift your hips to come into altar pose. Feel free to lower back down when you're ready. And then we'll find a comfortable seat, coming into Sukhasana, cross-legged position. Take a moment to find your sit bones rooted on the ground. You can press your hands into your knees and then start to bow your head towards your heart. On your next inhale, you can bring your left ear over towards your left shoulder, finding a stretch down the right side of your neck. Exhale to bow once more towards your heart. And then inhale to float the right ear over towards the right shoulder. And you can even find a little bit more stretch by pressing your palms into your knees and just allow your shoulder to melt away from your ears. And then go ahead and take a few more rounds coming through center on your exhale. And then inhaling your ear over towards your shoulder. Let's find one more round on each side. And then when you're ready, we'll meet back up in center. You can lift your head back up and we'll bring the hands together, interlace your fingers, and start to draw a few figure eights with the wrists, like an infinity sign. And then go ahead and reverse the direction of your figure eights when you're ready. We'll flip the palms forward, and then you can press the palms forward as you round your spine back. And then inhale to grow tall through center. Exhale to turn to the right, and you can release your hand to your knee and your other hand behind you to come into a twist. Send your gaze behind your right shoulder. And then with your next exhale, you can bow your head towards your heart and turn your gaze past your front shoulder. Take a nice deep breath here, and then we'll release this side. And then let's interlace the hands the awkward way. And you can start to do a few figure eights, noticing maybe fewer snap, crackle, pops this time as we lubricate our joints. And then reversing the figure eights. This time we'll pause, flip the palms forward, round the spine back as you press forward, and then inhale to lift it up tall through center. This time you can turn to the left, release your hands down, bring your hand onto your opposite knee, Plant your hand behind you and then gaze behind your left shoulder. On the next exhale, you can bow your head towards your heart, allowing your chin to trace the front of your chest, and then turning your gaze past your front shoulder. When you're ready, we'll release and come back to center. And then you can either roll over your shins and extend your feet behind you, or just come onto hands and knees. If you prefer not to be on the wrists and hands and knees, you can always do your cat cows from that seated position. And then if you did want to be on hands and knees, but not on the wrists, you could also come onto forearms. So just lots of options. On your inhale, go ahead and drop the belly for cow pose. Exhale to round into the spine for cat. Go ahead and take a few rounds of cat and cow, following the pace of your own breath. After a few rounds, it could feel good to maybe draw a circle with the belly button. Feel free to find any movements that feel good for you and your body. Allowing your mind to tune into your body and its sensations. And then after a few rounds in one direction, go ahead and reverse the direction of your circles. Imagining your belly button tracing the inside of a hula hoop. We'll take one more nice deep breath like this. And then you can meet back up in center, drawing the belly button towards the spine. On your next exhale, turn your gaze past your left shoulder, bending your hip towards your shoulder. And then we'll inhale back to center, exhale, switch sides. And one more time, let's wag our tail to each side. And then when you're ready, we'll come back to center. Bring your big toes to touch. Open your knees up wide. You can sink your hips back and walk your hands out in front to lower your forehead down to the mat. Coming down into child's pose, Balasana. Take a moment to feel the earth rise to support you. Filling your back body with breath. We'll take a little side bend from here so you can press up to your hands, walk your hands over to the right, reach your left arm long, maybe turn your gaze underneath your right armpit. Send your breath cascading down your side body. We'll take one more nice deep breath here, and then you can lift up, walk it back to center, walk your arm over to the left this time, reaching your right arm long. You can find a stretch all along your right side body from your fingertips to the base of your hip, maybe turning your gaze underneath your left armpit. Take one more nice deep breath, and then we'll walk it back to center. And this time you can come onto your forearms, bring your knees underneath your hips, and then you can slide your left leg back, tuck the toes under. Now you could be on the palms of your hands too, and you could play around with each one, but I thought I'd give you a break coming onto your wrists. But maybe Play around with either version. Take a nice deep breath here, pressing the heel down towards the ground. And then we'll switch sides, bringing the left knee underneath the hip, extending the right leg back, tuck the toes under, press your heel towards the mat. Wonderful. Allow the breath to cascade down the back of the leg. And then from here, we're going to turn this into a plank. So you can lower your right knee exactly where it is and step your left knee back. And you can either be on the palms or the forearms. And then maybe you want to tuck the toes under and either lift one knee or both knees, coming into a forearm plank. Take a few deep breaths here, engaging the core. Remember, you can always soften your knees down, taking a forearm plank on your knees, just lifting your heart, lifting your back body. And then whenever you feel ready, we'll lower onto the belly. Go ahead and untuck the toes, lengthen the legs back, pressing the tops of the feet into your mat. And then we'll plant the elbows underneath the shoulders, press the palms onto the mat, and lift the heart for Sphinx Pose. You can feel a nice back bend here, maybe if you want to reach your heart forward and gently, energetically glide the arms back. Now we have the option of a quad stretch. So you can bring your right arm so that it's parallel to the front of your mat, and you're going to press into that arm and then kick your left heel back towards your sit bone. Maybe you want to wrap the hand around to grasp hold of the ankle or the top of the foot. And you can start to just notice where you feel sensation here. Beautiful. You might point that elbow up towards the sky. And on the next exhale, we'll release that side. You can replace the left arm with the right. So now you're going to have your left arm pressing into the mat, parallel to the front of your mat. And then you can kick that right foot towards your glute. Maybe you reach around with your right hand to grasp hold of the ankle or the foot. Take a nice deep breath here. And then with your next exhale, we'll release that. You can stack your palms and lower your forehead to the back of your hands. Allow your glutes to relax. Yes, this is our favorite, one of our favorites. This is called Crocodile Pose, Macrossana. So you can start to breathe into your back body. And this is a good pose actually for anxiety. So the idea is sort of to help move the breath into different areas of the body. Allowing yourself to fully soften here, allowing the earth to rise to meet you. We'll take one more nice deep breath here. And then you can plant your palms underneath your shoulders, tuck your toes under, and press up to table or plank. And you might want to try your first downward facing dog. If you have blocks, you could always put blocks underneath your hands. And you can tuck your toes under, lift your hips up and back. And maybe you take a moment to pedal your heels, sashaying your hips a little side to side. It's pretty hot out, but if you'd like to build a little more heat, you're welcome to kick one heel behind you for three-legged dog. And then switch sides. Plant one foot, kick the other heel back behind you for three-legged dog. And then when you're ready, we'll walk our feet to our hands. or your hands to your feet and come into a forward fold. You can go ahead and grasp hold of your opposite elbows. Allow your head to hang heavy and gently sway from side to side. Maybe you want to shake your head no, releasing that which no longer serves you. Nod your head yes. Inviting in new opportunities. And then you can release your hands down. We'll press the palms either into the shins or into the top of the thighs. And you can inhale to lift up halfway. Exhale to forward fold. Let's do that 2 more times. Inhale for Ardha Uttanasana, halfway lift. Exhale to forward fold. And 1 more time. Now with your feet underneath your hips or even a little wider, you can start to sink your hips back like you were going to sit into a chair, and then we'll lift the arms and the torso coming into chair pose. Utkatasana. From here, bring your arms out in front like you're a zombie, and we'll slide one arm back, opening to the side for a twist. Inhale it back to center. Exhale, twist to the other side. Inhale back to center, and we'll lift up tall, straightening the legs. Exhale, bring your hands to your heart center, and then release your hands to your side. Take a moment to close down the eyes or soften the gaze. And just allow yourself to ground down here in your mountain pose, Tadasana. Checking in with your breath. On your next inhale, we'll float the arms out to the sides. And then exhale, bring the right arm over the top of the left. Give yourself a nice big hug. Maybe exhale through the mouth. Sigh it out. You can gently rock side to side, giving yourself so much appreciation for coming today. And then we'll inhale to open our arms out wide to the sides. And this time, think of someone special that you'd like to give a hug to, send a blessing. You can bring the left arm over the top of the right and just give them a nice big hug, rocking side to side. On the next inhale, we'll open the arms out wide to the side, and then inhale to float the arms up. Exhale, cactus the arms, and maybe stick out the tongue. Exhaling through the mouth for lion's breath. Let's try that 2 more times. Inhale, reach the arms up towards the sky, look up, and then exhale. Cactus the arms. Inhale, reach. Exhale, release. Then you can inhale to reach it up tall. Exhale, bring the hands to the heart center. And we're going to sink back into our chair pose. So you can start to imagine there's a chair behind you and you're going to sit back towards that chair. If you'd like, you can reach your arms up past your ears, coming into this fierce pose, Utkatasana. And then on the next exhale, fly the hands behind you. And maybe you want to lift your heels, coming into drinking bird. Exhale to lower the heels. Inhale, lift the arms. And 2 more times. Exhale, drinking bird, coming up onto the balls of your toes, lifting your heels. And 1 more time, chair pose. And drinking bird. Inhale to rise through center. Exhale, bring your hands to your heart center. Go ahead and release your hands to your sides. Once more, imagine your feet now are like edges of a plant. So a plant at home that you stick into water and you start to see all of these roots sprouting off from your feet, reaching down into the ground, finding that nourishment. Take one more nice deep breath. And then we'll blink the eyes open. You can bring your hands to your hips. Let's walk to the front of our mats and let's step the right foot back with the heel down and the toes at 45 degrees. You can bend into that front knee. And now we're in Warrior One. Once you feel that strong, steady base of support, start to lighten from the waist up. And then you might float the arms up and overhead, lifting the heart, lifting the gaze, spinning the pinky fingers in towards the midline. On the next exhale, we'll fly the hands back, lean the torso forward. Inhale to rise back up through center. And go ahead and take 2 more rounds like this, following the pace of your own breath. The next time you arrive in your Warrior One, we'll float the hands behind us, and you might interlace them at the low back, or feel free to grasp hold of the back of your shirt, or just extend your arms back. On your next exhale, we're going to come into Humble Warrior. So bend at the hips and allow your torso to come forward and rest on your front thigh. Bowing your head, maybe sending your gaze back towards your back foot. Feeling the strong, steady base of support. You could leave your hands resting on your low back, or you can extend your knuckles behind you, allowing them to reach overhead. On the next exhale, you can allow your hands to come to your low back and then bring your hands to your hips. Use the strength of your core to press yourself upright. And then we'll inhale here for Warrior One. On the next exhale, you can bring your hands to your hips and start to step your back foot up to meet your front. And we'll pause for a moment. Coming into that Tadasana mountain pose, you can open your arms to the sides with your palms facing forward, rooting down through your feet. And then blink your eyes open. You can bring your hands to your hips. We're going to get ready for that same sequence on the second side. So we'll step the left foot back this time. So your feet are kind of on railroad tracks, not directly behind each other. And then you can square your torso forward, bend into that front knee, and find this strong, steady stance. You're going to want the back toes a little bit at 45 degrees, bending into that front knee. We'll inhale if you'd like. Lift the arms, coming into Warrior One. On the next exhale, you have the option to float the arms back as you lean the torso forward. Inhale it back up to center. And 2 more times like that at your own pace. The next time you find yourself into Warrior One, you can swim your hands behind you, and you might interlace your hands now the awkward way, the opposite way as before. Take a nice deep breath to lift the heart. And then on your exhale, you can hinge from the hips, folding forward, allowing your torso to rest on your thigh. And you can either leave your hands resting at your back, or you might float your arms up towards the sky. That feels okay for the shoulders. Allow your head to hang heavy, maybe gazing back at your back foot. And then you can release your hands to your low back. We'll bring the hands to the hips. And you can rise up tall through Warrior One. Taking one more round of Warrior One. And then on your exhale, you can bring your hands to your hips and take a few steps to bring that foot up to meet the other foot. Got a lot of wind, huh? From here, let's come on down. So we're gonna, actually no, I wanted to do tree pose while we were standing, of course, since we're in the park. So yes, while we're standing, let's find a little adjustment to our mat and everything. Find a shady spot in the tree. And then from here, we'll root down through our left leg. You can bend into your right knee and maybe just come up onto the ball of your right toes. Then from here, you can open that right knee out to the right, and maybe you just kickstand your heel right up against your ankle, or step the foot onto the thigh below the knee. Some people can, I don't know that I can, but maybe I'll try today. Reach down to grasp hold of your foot and plant it on your upper thigh. It's not happening for me today. That's okay. Lots of different variations. Finding a soft, gentle gaze, a fixed point on the ground or at the horizon can be helpful for balance. And then you could invite your hands to meet at your heart center. Feel your strong, steady support of your tree legs. And then maybe you want to revisit your intention, bringing the intention to the center of your palms. You can bloom your fingers open into a lotus flower. Now go ahead and allow your lotus flower to bloom towards the sky, towards the sun. And then you can release your hands out to the sides. We'll step the feet out wide and shake it all off. Maybe sighing out through the mouth. Beautiful. And then let's get ready for the other side. So you can step it back together. And we'll root down through the right leg, bend into the left knee, and maybe come up onto the ball of your toes. This actually feels, I feel like, such a nice stretch for my foot already. You can bring your hands to your hips and then either bring your ankle or your heel to your ankle. And this way your toes are still on the ground. You can have a wider base for more support, or you might bring your foot either below the knee onto the calf, or you can pick it up, bring it above the knee. And then we'll invite the hands to maybe meet at the heart center, finding that soft gaze, that drishti for support. And then bring your seed of intention into the palms of your hands, or maybe a blessing for someone special. And you can bloom your lotus flower fingers open, and maybe send that blessing or intention out into the universe. Whenever you're ready, you can slide your hands back down to your hips, step your feet out wide, and shake it all off. Wonderful. We'll go ahead and now we will be making our way onto our mats. So you're going to come to the top of your mat, and then you can inhale your arms up and overhead. Exhale to swan dive forward. Inhale for halfway lift, pressing into your shins or thighs, lengthening through your spine. And then exhale to forward fold. You can plant your palms and either walk back for downward dog, or feel free to head to child's pose. If you're in your downward dog, you might pedal your heels, sashaying your hips. And maybe you want to try that three-legged dog variation side to side. So feel free to build a little heat, kicking your foot behind you. You could even draw your knee in towards your nose, coming forward into a plank if you'd like. And then when you come back to your downward dog, start to hover your knees, bend your knees so that they hover over the earth. This is a crouching tiger variation. And you might feel a little heat building. And as soon as you'd like, you can land your knees. We'll walk the knees forward and come onto our seat. And then go ahead and bring the left foot into your inner thigh and extend your right foot out. You can wiggle your toes, say hi toes. Make sure they're still there. That's creepy. Go ahead and turn to face your cute right foot and start to bow over that leg. So you can bring your hands out beside or on your shin, or maybe you want to reach for your toes. Wherever your hands land, and a strap could be a good idea too if we had them, if you have anything to use as a strap. Take a nice deep breath here. And then on your next inhale, we'll rise back up through center. You can reach your arms up towards the sky. It'll feel so good with the breeze. And then allow your right arm to land on your right shin and arc your left arm up towards the sky. And then you can start to allow that arm to reach down towards your foot. Maybe you land your elbow on your inner thigh or above your knee. And you can reach that arm up towards the sky, lifting your heart and your gaze. On the next exhale, turn your gaze slowly down towards your bottom foot. And then you can gently begin to shake your head no, lifting your gaze and lowering it. I always find that I have to practice my boundaries, saying no. So this is a good practice. You might release anything that no longer serves you. Allow yourself to practice saying no. With the next inhale, we'll rise back up to center. And then let's take another twist. So we're going to bring the right hand down to the left knee. And you can bring your left hand behind you, either on the ground, or you might reach it over behind you, flat on your low back, or reach towards your right thigh. Send your gaze over your left shoulder, peering behind you. And then on your next exhale, you can drop your head down towards your heart and allow your gaze to float over your front shoulder. On the next inhale, we'll release that side. And you can lean back, extend your legs, give them a shake, and then extend your left leg, bring the right sole of the foot to your inner thigh, turn to face your cute little left toes, give them a wave. And then you can hinge from the hips and start to fold over that leg. Maybe bringing your hands to frame your shin, rest on your shin or reach for your toes. Coming into Janu Sirsasana. It's called head to knee pose. Just notice the sensations and realize you can always back off a little bit. You might inhale to lengthen your spine and then exhale, allow yourself to melt forward a little more. Notice how you can balance your effort with your ease. And then we'll inhale to rise back through center. Reach the arms up towards the sky. Feel the nice, cool air on your skin. And then you can plant the left arm on your left leg. Allow that arm to start to stretch down the leg as you hinge from the hips. And you might turn your gaze up towards your top hand, allowing it to rainbow over the body. Finding that side bend from your hip to your fingertips. And then you might start once more your gentle head shakes, lifting and lowering your gaze. On the next inhale, lift your gaze. We'll rise to center. And then exhale, we'll twist to the right, bringing the left hand onto the right knee, planting your hand behind you, or you could reach your hand around towards your left thigh, bringing the back of your hand to the low back. Send your gaze behind your right shoulder. And then on your next exhale, you can bow your head towards your heart. And we'll turn just the gaze past the left shoulder towards your left toes. On the next inhale, you can go ahead and release your twist. Let's bring the soles of the feet to touch, coming into Badakanasana, bound angle pose. So you can allow the soles of your feet to come together, and then you might peel your feet open like a book, and maybe you want to give your feet a little foot massage. Once more, sending gratitude down towards your feet. We'll inhale to lengthen through the spine, and then exhale, allow your heart to melt forward. You could plant your palms out in front or walk your hands out in front, or continue to support the fold with your elbows maybe on your shins or your calves. Take one more nice deep breath here. And then we'll press ourselves back up into a seat. And we're gonna make our way down to our mats and to our backs. So from here, you can bring your feet out in front with your knees pointed up towards the sky. Reach your arms out and then start to find a pause, maybe finding a little core engagement here. And then allow yourself to come down, hugging your knees in towards your chest. You could walk your hands up to your ankles, your calves, your shins, or your feet for happy baby pose. Might feel good for your back to rock a little side to side. It's a nice massage, especially on the ground. Maybe you come onto one knee and stretch the opposite leg long. After you take your happy baby pose, hug your knees in towards your chest and then open your arms out into a T. Allow your knees to float over to the right. And you could extend the right leg long. Allow the left knee to float to the ground if you'd like to deepen the twist. You might send your gaze over your right shoulder, or actually, I think that'd be your left shoulder, right? Take a nice deep breath in your twist. And when you're ready, you can hug your knees in towards your chest. Float the knees over to the left this time. Extend your arms into a letter T. You can either leave your legs stacked on this side, or to deepen your twist, you could extend your left leg long. Allow your right knee to fall to the ground. Either version is welcome. The next pose is Shavasana, our corpse pose. If there are any other shapes that you'd like to make before your final rest, you can feel free to explore those now. If you're ready for Shavasana corpse pose, you can allow yourself to come to lying on your back. You might allow your arms to rest at your sides. Either closing down your eyes or softening your gaze. Feel the strong, supportive earth rise to meet you. Feel its steady support. Sense the hug of gravity and the universe keeping you securely resting on the ground. Notice if you can soften your forehead, closing down your eyelids. Or softening your gaze. You can relax the hinge of your jaw. Soften your shoulders to the ground. And just allow yourself this moment to once more plug into the earth, tuning your awareness into your body's personal battery, allowing yourself this moment to recharge. Bless you. Bless you again. If you find that your thoughts start to wander to events of the past or plans for the future, you might just take a moment to invite yourself back into your body and into your breath. Let's come back to our intention for our practice for a moment. And I'll just read another quote from the book by Deborah Dell about our theme for class today, which is the first of the niyamas, yoga's ethical practice, which is basically yoga's instructions for how we might live our best life. The suggestion of Saucha is purity. Purity asks that all of us be in one place at one time. That means our head and heart are unified. Our thoughts, action, and speech are congruent, and we are in the present moment. The practice of purity asks us to slow down and do one thing at a time. Purity embodies the slow steadiness and integrity necessary to give all of our attention to one thing at a time. As we practice slowing down and giving each thing our undivided attention, we will find ourselves more integrated and more pure with the moment. Hurrying, multitasking, and busyness are all symbols of success in our culture, but they are killers of purity. Purity requires all of our attention in the moment so that we can go to the next thing with our full awareness and energy. Purity asks that we make full and honest contact with the moment so there is nothing lost and no regrets. The practice of Saucha or purity is of cleansing ourselves and cleaning our ability to be with each moment. As we begin to lose the heaviness of waste and clutter, we begin to feel lighter and more spacious and expansive. Our bodies become more alive, our minds become more clear, our hearts become more compassionate. Now you can bring your awareness into your heart center. Imagine with your next inhale, your heart center can expand like a balloon in all directions, increasing your capacity to give and to receive love from your heart. When you're ready, you can invite some gentle movement into your fingers, wiggle your toes, gently rotate your wrists and your ankles. And then find a long body stretch, reaching your arms past your ears. Whenever you're ready, you could roll onto one side and find a fetal position, cradling your head on your bicep. And then when you feel ready, go ahead and press yourself up into a seat. We'll invite our hands to meet at our heart center. And if you'd like, you can join me in chanting one round of Om. And then you might like to chant with me 3 rounds of Shanti, 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 which means peace, peace, peace. Go ahead and exhale all of your breath out, and we'll take a nice deep breath for Om. Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. You're welcome to bow your head towards the wisdom of your loving heart. Such an honor and a privilege to guide you through your practice this morning. Thank you, everyone, for being here with me. I'm Micki. Namaste. Feel free to let me know if you have any questions or thoughts about class.